Saint Michael, first champion of the kingship of Christ, pray for us. Welcome, brothers and sisters. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to start the show off a little different tonight. I am going to recruit each and every one of you into the deliverance ministry, and I'm going to make elite spiritual warriors out of all of you. Tonight, for just a moment or two, I have some close friends in the clergy that, as we speak, are at a location and are getting ready to take authority over an exorcism over a client that seems to be tormented by many devils. And they have asked me to ask all of you to drop into prayer for a moment at the beginning of the show, with the goal in mind that there is positive closure to their situation and that the Holy Spirit is present with them through this. So as I say this very powerful prayer of protection and deliverance, I just ask that each and every one of you reach forward, touch your computer screen, close your eyes and bow your head, and imagine that the world is being engulfed by the brightest light you've ever seen, as if we were swallowed by the sun, but we're not harmed. We're just engulfed with this bright light that is entering every crack and crevice and cave and basement throughout the whole world and engulfing us in this light. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit, with thy sevenfold gifts, and anoint us with thy divine light, wisdom, and power. Come, Lord Jesus Christ, and anoint us with thy precious blood, freeing us from every snare and stronghold and principalities and powers of darkness. O Mother of God, glorious and immaculate and ever Virgin Mary, come and crush the head of the serpent, the ancient serpent. O great Father Joseph, terror of demons, come and annihilate the enemies of our souls. Saint Michael, great prince and commander of the heavenly army, strike down the insidious foes who seek to destroy us. Come, glorious band of apostles. Come, great patriarchs and prophets. Come, white-robed army of martyrs. Come, pure and noble throng of virgins. Come to our aid, Holy Mother, Saint Teresa, our Holy Father, Saint John of the Cross, Saint Elijah, Saint Alicia, Saint John the Baptist, Saint Teresa, all you saints of Carmel, Saint Pio, Saint Isaac Johes, and companions, Saint Faustina, Saint Benedict, Saint Francis, Saint Anthony, Saint Clare, our guardian angels, archangels, and all you holy angels and saints, come repulse the attacks and deceits of our wicked enemies. Render them impotent and helpless. Let God arise. Let his enemies be scattered, and all those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so are they driven away. As wax melts before the fire, so the wicked perish at the presence of God. Amen. Thank you all so very much for joining in on that prayer. And the next time we get together, I will keep you updated on that situation. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host with the ghost, Reverend Sean, the Rev, ordained exorcism deliverance minister, advanced practice. If you guys happen to go to my website, ghostbegone.biz, that is your one-stop, everything you need to know about the Rev. If you're there, remember my wife and I do not charge for our ministry work. So if you're able to, and you notice the button, send in a small donation. I promise you it will be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and we will put it to good use, I assure you. While you're there visiting, you'll notice some interesting pages. One called Spiritual Advisor. In addition to being an exorcist, I am also a certified spiritual advisor, intuitive coach, listener. And if you're having some issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you would like to make an appointment to talk with me, you can do that at that page. And I assure you, if we get together, I will do everything within my power and gift of discernment to help advise you in the best possible way I can with your issue. You'll notice a page called the Ireland Tour 2021. Yes, I'm going to Ireland next year, brothers and sisters, and I'm only taking 24 of you with me. Look at the itinerary on that page. It will blow you guys away. Many people that are thinking of going that have already been to Ireland have told me, Rev, if I'm able to swing this and go with you on this trip, it's going to be like I've never been to Ireland before, the itinerary you have. I'm the ambassador. It's put together by May Hernan and Maria Schmidt of Mysterious Adventures Tours, and it reflects my personality and the kind of tour I would want to take 24 special people on. It's a week long. It's May of next year. Take a look. We're going to go to some ancient sites, some sacred sites, some haunted locations, do some paranormal investigating. It's just going to be awesome. So take a look at that. Another page to glance at is the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll notice the Worldwide Society of Exorcists. I am the founder of that. I offer a 12-week online college-level course for all of you that are feeling a calling to the deliverance ministry. It's called Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. It is a college-level course, so all my students that graduate get a beautiful, actually a stunning diploma suited for framing, along with a lot of very special parting gifts from yours truly that you can only get from the Rev. And it's a wonderful, wonderful course. I had a friend of mine who's a bishop at a local diocese here in town take a look at the course recently, and he emphatically gave it 2 crucifixes up and said it was right for the time and a must attend and enroll in course for anyone that is interested in a calling or their calling to this ministry. You'll also know on that page my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. I quote, the scariest book I ever published, unquote. That's Annette Munich, my publisher, owner of Stellium Books. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, it takes something very scary to fight something even scarier. Do a good deed today. Purchase a copy of the book. You can get autographed copies through their website. They come enclosed in a beautiful house blessing kit. You can also get it at Amazon. The best part of this is that part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org in St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. If you've already purchased my book, you're a part of that support group, so God bless you. All right, guys. Now, for the reason why you've all come today, I want you to know that behind the scenes, making this all happen, and I'm a blessed person to know him and to have met him, is my producer, Carl Albertson of Paranormal Nation Radio. He's manning the chat room. He will correspond with you back and forth, saying hi, looking at your comments, talking with you. If you have a question for me or my guest tonight, he will get it up on the screen, and I promise you I will get to that question as soon as I can. Okay. I'm excited to have this guy on tonight. And I know that if you're here too, you are excited. Probably not as much as me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. He is an elite ParaHunter. He is a world-renowned paranormal radio show host. He is so many other things. I could go on and on and on. He's a legend in the paranormal community. You all know him. You all love him. And he's going to be making his debut next month on a new show called Hotel Paranormal, and he will be the on-screen commentator, and the show is narrated by none other than one of my lifelong idols, Mr. Dan Aykroyd. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, welcome to the show, the one and only Tim Weisberg. Oh my gosh, is that Tim Weisberg on the Paranormal Ministry?
I think so. Last time I checked, I was. Let me look at my license and make sure.
Brother, I can't believe you're here. I appreciate you taking, I know you got some bad storms in your area. You just got back in shortly a few moments ago. You're here with us. You look safe. You look healthy. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your busy Sunday to spend with me and my viewers. I'm telling you, it's appreciated from my heart, and I can feel the love from my viewers that they're happy you're here too. So thank you.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me. We had such a great discussion when I spoke to you on the radio before that, I'm happy to come and hang out and talk about weird stuff with you anytime.
I got a quick one here I want to throw out at you. It's from a Justin Snodgrass. It says, Rev, definitely want to chat with you about my youngest son. We believe he may be an empath. Justin, please send me a friend request on Facebook. That will be at the top of my list to discuss with you later tonight. And I might get into a little bit of discussion with that with Tim tonight, so don't go anywhere. But thank you so much for reaching out to us. I won't leave you hanging, brother, I promise. Mr. Weisberg, let's get to the most important thing here. You are a husband. You are a father. Oh my gosh. Did we ever think that we would go through crazier times than we are now? How is your family holding up during this pandemic and this lockdown and all that craziness? Is everybody healthy and happy and doing good?
We've been very lucky that, it seems like for the most part, nobody has had to deal with any, COVID-19 exposure. We've all been kind of, we keep a pretty safe distance from each other anyway. That's how you maintain a good family relationship. Keep your distance from each other. When you're sitting on the couch, leave that 6 feet in between you anyway. That way there you can both be comfortable and no fight will happen. But no, I think for the most part, everybody's been doing really well. And I think part of that was that we all took it seriously right at the beginning. And we said, you know what, we're not going to mess around. Better safe than sorry. So we've seen that, the extra ounce of prevention has really paid off.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, it was a little scary here. I'm 60. My wife is 76, and we're both in that high risk area. But she never stopped working because we both work at an animal hospital, and it was essential. I was furloughed for 2.5 months because my shift got cut back for the safety of everybody. And I recently went back on an extreme part-time basis a couple of weeks ago. But it's been scary, and so we don't, other than going to work and going to the market. If we absolutely have to, we don't go anywhere. And if we're outside that door, even in our own yard, gardening, doing whatever, we got the masks on. And I'm in constant prayer for this darkness that's on us right now to get lifted. And it's just a crazy, crazy thing. But you're such a handsome man. You look healthy. You look happy. The world is at your feet, brother. I'm happy for you. It couldn't have happened to a better person.
Well, thank you.
So, that's the most important thing. And I want everybody out there that's struggling. We're all in this together. It might get a little worse. I hope not, but it might get a little worse before it gets better. But we will come through this. Stay positive. And my heart goes out to people that can't work, getting evicted from their homes. They can't put food on the table for their children. You're all in my prayers. If I don't even know you personally, trust me. I'm in prayer for everybody that's going through that stuff. So, craziness. You're in, I hope I don't butcher the name of your city. Wareham, Mass?
Yeah, pretty close. Wareham. Yep. We like to say the place where, you could put on a pork sweater if you wanted, because you can wear ham.
Oh, that's funny. Listen, I gotta know. Everybody in Mass talks about, everybody in every state says, oh, I live in the most haunted state.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, Mass is one of those at the top of everybody's list. Is just these. There's a lot of beautiful places there. I don't want people to think that the whole state is creepy, but if you're in the paranormal community, people there in the paranormal community love the state, all the haunted locations, the history. Is Wareham haunted? And if so, how haunted?
I think that it definitely is. I think that the most interesting part of the Wareham hauntings is that nobody really talked about them or investigated them for years. People would tell stories, legends about the ghosts around this town, but nobody ever really went out to try to document them. So it's only been maybe the last 15 years or so that people have really been going out and investigating for some of these, Wareham ghosts. But in just where I live alone, my neighborhood has a story about a woman in white that's seen walking through people's yards. And we have there's a cranberry bog where there were some migrant workers who were killed crossing the street, and people still see them walking across the street. And we had an iron factory, because I'm surrounded by cranberry bogs in this town. And cranberry bogs, one of the things that they do is they make bog iron out of the byproduct, the silt. So they turn that into bog iron. So we used to have iron factories all in town, and 2 of them exploded. And so there's all these like ghost stories associated with all these different places, but nobody ever really, really paid attention to them. They just told them more as creepy legends than actual possible paranormal activity.
Wow. I'm going to, I didn't have time to really look up your town before the show. I'm going to do that. Sounds like an interesting place. When you say the cranberry bogs, I think of the ocean spray commercials of the cranberry juice.
Yep.
But that's incredible to be seeing ghosts roaming the town. That's pretty haunted. That's an energy and an imprint on that whole paranormal fabric of time that's pretty powerful for people to still see those images. That's
and some of them are really old too. Like, so one of the most famous haunts in my town is the Fearing Tavern, which is just a great name for a haunted place. But it's been around since 1690. So there are ghosts in that building that will be talking about the American Revolution. There are ghosts in that building that will be talking about being loyal to the crown. We're going all the way back, hundreds and hundreds of years, to a place that has seen, every day of our country's history. And so when you have a place like that, you can't help but have fascinating ghosts there that have a story to tell, especially when nobody went there to talk to them for hundreds of years, and they didn't get a chance to interact with anybody. The first night we went in there, the place just lit up for us with activity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're feeding off of your energy too, because they know why you're there. You're acceptant of it. You're searching for that. You're good people. I believe that they can sense and feel and see your aura, and it appears different to them depending on your intent. I've been blessed. My wife, she's a near-death experience survivor, extreme demonic attack, 3-time cancer survivor, extreme divine intervention is why she's still here. But she's my human dowsing rods. I couldn't investigate without her, although I do a lot investigations without her. But how's your family with all of that? With you being Tim Weisberg and into all of that, how do they handle all that?
They want nothing to do with any of it. They're not the least bit interested. I took my son, he just turned 16 last Sunday, but when he was younger, I would take him to some of the places that we would get to go to for investigations and events, because even at a young age, he was a big history buff. So he wanted to be able to go into the Fearing Tavern and see a place that was that old. But then as soon as the activity would start, he would want nothing to do with it. And even now, I have one sister, I'm one of 5 kids. I have 4 siblings. And one sister doesn't want anything to do with any of it. She won't even help me out and watch the TV shows that I'm on because it creeps her out too much. But then, my aunt and uncle owned a haunted house when I was growing up, and that's how I had some of my first experiences. So, for part of my family, it's part of everyday life for them to talk about this stuff. And then for the other part, they don't want to hear anything to do with it.
Oh gosh. Dad's the scary dad.
Yeah.
We've got it.
Weird one. Then they, at least they picked the right one.
I'm going to throw this question at you. Justin's back with us. Hi, Justin. Ghosts roaming the town, would that possibly be considered a residual haunt? And I will throw that your way.
I would say most of them would be, especially when, we're dealing with things that are happening in historical places and based on historical events. And it just seems to be a replay of that. But with a lot of these spirits, we have direct interaction with them. So I've actually seen, or I think I've seen those migrant workers that were hit crossing the street. I wouldn't go so far as to say I saw a full-bodied apparition. Not in that case. I have seen one, but not in that case. And, but my recollection is that when I saw these figures, these partial figures, whatever they were, they turned and looked at me and then kept walking. And that's the report that you hear from people. They turn and they look at you when you stop, because you stop and you actually acknowledge that they're there. So to me, that's them saying, we see you, we recognize you the same way that you're recognizing us. And that to me becomes an intelligent haunt from there, because now you're getting that back and forth with them. And I've, when I've investigated the Fearing Tavern and some of the other historical buildings around town, I always get stuff where it is giving me direct responses to questions that I've asked. It is, doing things that I've asked it to do, like knocking on walls, shaking tables, whatever. So to me, I think there's a strong intelligence to it, but I think every place has residual haunts, because I don't think the energy that we call paranormal ever really goes away. I think it's always around us.
Interesting. Very interesting. That's a great answer. I personally, I'm a little on the fence with the residual. I'll tell you why. My wife and I, probably 12 times. If we were there once, we were there a dozen times at this old haunted mansion here in town, because our friend who's a real estate agent couldn't sell it. Every time he took people in there to buy it, the ghosts would just act up to scare the person off. So we were there trying to find answers, and there was a report down below the house. They had this home was built in the 50s, so they had a bomb shelter, which they turned into an underground bowling alley. And I was down in there, and in the pitch black, I know my wife is somewhere. It's just that's just the way it is when we're investigating together. She didn't happen to be down there this time, but someone's walking up behind me in the bowling alley, and I clearly thought it was Sharon. And the report was this woman that walks across the bowling alley and up this secret back staircase that leads to this bar on the first level of the mansion. And I turned around to talk to Sharon, and I came face to face with this woman who actually stopped. She couldn't continue to walk, which she could have, I believe, if she wanted to, but she stopped dead in her tracks to stare at me for what seemed to me like 5 minutes, but it was probably 10 seconds to stop. And it wasn't until I moved out of her way that she continued on her way and then finished walking across the bowling alley, up that staircase, and into the bar. So I am really on the fence with the residual. I think that's just a form of a haunt, but I like those apparitions have in your neck of the woods have looked at people. I think
you think they can, but they just don't, kind of thing.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Of course, I don't know anything. I'm the first one that'll tell people don't listen to me.
Well,
And I have all these theories that are probably crazy to a lot of people, but that incident for me shook me up, and I thought, well, this is not, this woman here, along with a lot of other things that was going on in there, is not residual at all.
And I can agree with that, because more often than not, I've experienced intelligent haunts. I've had very few experiences of something that I would say, oh, that's just a residual haunt. Most things that I've had experiences with, there has been some give and take and some back and forth. And also, I just want to say, haunted mansion, bowling alley inside, and secret staircase to a bar. I know what I'm buying when I win the lottery.
Oh my God, brother, let me tell you something. My wife and I, this house got into our skin. It got into our blood. Ghosts were following us home and visiting us in our dreams. They were appearing in our home to us. They grew to like us, because my wife and I, what's not to like? We're just hardworking blue collar people, survive from paycheck to paycheck. She's a Stevens minister through the Lutheran faith, so we're both ministers. We're there just trying to help them, have them communicate to us what the issue is. Why are you not allowing anybody to buy this home? But we wanted to buy this home so bad. We reached out to every extremely wealthy person we knew to beg them to lend us the money, because it was also, you would think the price on this home was out of reach, but it really wasn't, because of the location and what was going on. So we tried, man, and the house really got a hold of us. I don't know if you can see it, but no, you can. It's behind the picture that's hanging behind me. I got this huge cast iron bell here that hung at that home. And it's the kind of bell that you'd see in a steeple or on the front of a really large old train. And the gentleman that was trying to sell the home, it was gifted to him, and he took it to his house. He hung it up on the patio by his pool. And one day he was out there cleaning his pool. This is a grown man, great swimmer. Something unseen tosses him in his pool. And for quite some time, he fought something that was trying to drown him, and
Wow.
he's in the shallow end. So he finally got out, and he couldn't figure out what is going on different in my home that caused this to happen to me. The only thing he could figure was it was this bell. So he asked me if I would take the bell. We met at a bar, and I opened up his trunk and I put a blessing on the bell. Then I specially, took some measures to put it in my car, bring it here. But we haven't had, knock on wood, and that's a superstitious thing. We haven't had any issues since the bell has gotten here. I think the bell just, like I said, the home really liked my wife and I, and I think the bell wanted to be with us anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, we got a question here from a Gary Whitmer. Hi, Gary. Have you ever seen a full body shadow that you knew in life?
I don't know if I've ever seen one that I knew previously, or that I could even definitely say who it might have been. For me, a lot of the shadows that I've experienced, I think, are something that are different than what the ghosts are. Some people feel that shadows are just full-bodied apparitions that haven't been able to fully manifest, that they don't have enough energy to really recreate what they actually look like. I don't know if I believe that that's necessarily the case. The shadow people that I have encountered seem to be of a different intelligence, and I have physically touched one. I have shaken hands with one. I have had one turn itself into my doppelganger, and the doppelganger of somebody else that was in the room. I have seen them physically insert themselves between myself and somebody else standing there in the room. And to me, they just speak to me in a different way, that they're just some kind of a different level of entity or activity. So I don't know that if I even encountered a shadow that told me that it was somebody that I knew, I don't even know if I would believe it.
That's another very interesting take on it, brother. And I'm telling you something right now. I think it's just they have the power to appear to us any way they want to appear. Do I buy into that some elementals appear that way? Yes. But I was taking authority over an exorcism once. My wife was holding the woman down with another coworker of hers. We had her on a massage table because that's what she did for a living. It was in her living room. We all clearly saw a cloud raise up out of her, and then it blasted through me, taking my air away. It felt like I got punched in the stomach. And then I could see the friend of the possessed woman and my wife look behind me in awe, in shock. I turn around and I'm face to face with a solid 3-dimensional. It's as if a real person got dipped in a vat of tar and was standing. It wasn't dripping tar, but
Mhm.
that's how black it was, standing there in front of me. And then it darted down a hallway. And here's my theory, and I could be wrong. Well, of course, I thought that was the demon appearing to me that way. Why it appeared to me that way, I don't know. But I heard it go up a ladder that I had set in a closet leading to the attic, where the homeowner said it's mostly active up there. And I walked up this ladder to once again come face to face with it on all fours at the top of the ladder in the attic, and it spit on me. It spit all this goo in my face, which a lot of people in my field can call that demonic venom. And you don't want to ingest it. If you get it in your mouth or in another orifice, you can become violently ill. And some people have died from ingesting it. So that was very scary. But that sometimes when I get these reports of shadow figures, I really look at the haunt and a lot of other things going on, because I don't know if that's an actual thing. I sometimes I believe these entities appear that way, but there's something different about them. But I do believe that some elementals appear like that too. It's just, oh my gosh, bro, so many things we don't know. Do you honestly think? I think the appeal for me being in this field is the unknown, still getting scared, still getting shocked, trying to find answers. But I'm almost have this weird, it's okay if I don't find the answers
Mhm.
type take on it, because that's cool too. Do you think we will ever find the answers? Or are you and I going to be having this discussion at the the biggest bar in heaven one day, laughing about all the things we didn't know.
I don't know if we will ever find the answers because, first of all, we're stuck in a mindset where we insist on, or at least, science insists on, it has to fit the known realm of physics. And if that's the case, we would have already been able to find why it would or wouldn't in all this time. I recently spoke to a cosmologist who was talking to me about dark matter and antimatter and all this stuff, and saying, basically, and dark energy, and saying that this stuff doesn't, we theorize that it exists, and it does not have to obey the laws of physics in order to exist. So if we can say that about space, why can't we say that about spirit? And so I think that there is something more to it than we're ever going to be able to figure out with our limited mind that we can wrap around it right now. But that being said, I don't know that I would even want to find the answer, because I've decided a long time ago that the journey is more important. I'm a wrestling fan, and I always tend to like the guy that's trying to win the belt. Yeah. And then when he wins the belt finally, I don't really care so much anymore. But it's watching him trying to get that prize. And it's the same thing with this. It's the journey of trying to find the answers, that whatever the answers are in the end, they can't be as educational for us to know than what we will actually learn going through the process of trying to find them.
Absolutely. I'm a big wrestling fan too. I know there's probably so many things you and I have in common. And I know one of these days, let me see what. Okay, we got about, you know what? I was going to do this later in the show. I'm going to talk about it now because I don't want to run out of time, and it'll just kill me if I don't discuss this. I know there's probably a lot of things you and I have in common, and maybe I can get you on here another Sunday down the road, but I have this sense, you're already famous, but I have this sense that real soon you're going to be a lot more famous and probably way too big to ever come on the show again. So as long as I can take advantage of it and get you on here, I will. You're the kind of guy that I could do a series with. And I know I'm not going to get to all my questions tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to the end of the show. Not end the show, but I'm going to jump to the end of the show and talk to you about something I was going to save. But I got to do it now. I came prepared tonight. Over my right shoulder, which I don't know how it looks to you guys, you see my authentic throwback official Ghostbuster t-shirt that I personally ran into Dan Aykroyd here in Vegas and had him sign. I've got here one of three. I don't know if you can make out the autograph on the forehead. One of three of my Dan Aykroyd signed Crystal Head vodka bottles, and I don't even drink vodka, and every day I'm dying to open one of these just to try it. I've heard it's some of the best vodka in the world.
Oh, you know what? I found out they sell the little nip bottles of those. We call them nips.
Oh, no.
They have little nip bottles of it for like 75 cents. So that's how I got to try.
Oh, no. Is it good? Oh my gosh. I don't drink anymore. It's been years. And I was more of a, single malt Scotch guy. Mm-hmm. My wife is a Kahlua and milk gal, occasionally some wine, but I wanted to try it so bad. And I've also got one of a couple of my History of Ghosts, Dan Aykroyd, if I can get it open, autographed book that his father wrote before his father died. And a lot of people don't know that of the four Ghostbusters in the movie, in real life, Dan was a legit Ghostbuster. His whole family for generations involved in the spiritualism movement and all that. And so I'm a big fan of his. I'm going back, I'm 60 now, so I'm going back in my 20s, all through the 80s. I can't believe I'm even going to admit this. I was a very well-known, popular street dancer. I was a locker. And I was in a lot of TV commercials, some movies, some TV shows. But one day, a crew that I was dancing with got hired to dance at the wrap party for Ghostbusters 2. And it was under a huge tent in downtown Westwood, California. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to find Dan, and I'm going to talk to Dan. And the stories I could tell you about having a drink with Robert Duvall and Sean Penn up at the bar because they were filming Colors at the time. Legendary evening for me. Ran into Robert Lahm of Chicago, and I was a big Chicago fan. It was just a dream come true for me. But I see Dan and Bill standing on the dance floor. I walk over to them, and I wanted to talk to Dan. Next thing I know, Bill complimenting me on the dancing. Can you teach me this? And what is that dance? Yada yada yada. And I start talking and next thing I know, Dan kind of wandered off. I was so disappointed, but Bill, we got to have a nice conversation. He talked about getting ready to film the movie Razor's Edge, and he was hoping that would launch him into dramatic roles because he wanted to go that route. But a very special evening now. Fast forward some 25 years later, Dan's here in town. 3 separate times over the period of about 8 months signing bottles of his vodka here at different locations. So I go to the first one and I see him telling everybody, I got my father's book here. If you buy a case of the vodka, you can have a free autographed copy of the book. I look at my wife. We barely scrounged up enough for one bottle. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get the book. I'm so disappointed. Maybe he'll let me buy the book instead of the bottle when we get up there. I finally got up to the front of the line, introduced myself, told him the brief story of the Ghostbusters 2 rap party. Don't know if he remembered the situation or not, but he seemed to. Then he said, well, what are you doing now? And this is exactly what I said. I go, I'm a Ghostbuster for real. He goes, really? Who are you with? He saw my GhostBegone.biz shirt. He said, you got to have one of these. He just signed a book and gave it to me. I said, I'm only buying one bottle. He said, take the book. He actually gave me 2 books, one to me, then signed another one to Ghost Be Gone. I got the bottle, just loved that, saw him a couple of more times here. So here I'm going to make a deal with you. I know, and I totally understand. I know this show that's coming out. We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm excited about the show, and I haven't been this excited for a friend and this opportunity that's been presented to them as I am for you, because I love you, brother. I respect you. I think you're a cool dude. I know that this show is going to be a big hit, and I'm just so excited for you. Here's my deal to you. I know if the show's a big hit, you're going to get to meet the man if you haven't already. I know that you're going to try to get him on your show. That's cool. You should. But if you remember my story when you meet him and you tell him this story and you're able to somehow make my lifelong dream come true and get him to agree to be on either one of my shows, I'll be indebted to you for life. And this is what my part of the bargain will be. I have a haunted location here in town that was once a hotel back in the town when this is in Vegas, when it was a cow town. It's now boarded up, fenced off, no signs on it, squished between a hotel and a casino. Thousands of people walk by it every day. Nobody even knows that it exists. I know it exists. A lot of homeless people live around there. Probably that's why a lot of people don't go in there. But nobody knows about this place. And I went in this place. It's an hotel, so we're talking Hotel Paranormal now. I put on my priest collar because I go down there and I work with the homeless from time to time. I figured that'd be an easy way for me to get around. I get to the back of the place. I find a place. I don't recommend this, but I find a way to break in. I don't do that anymore, but I found a way to do it. And a homeless guy's back there. And he says, Father, you're not going to go in there, are you? I said, well, yeah, I'm a big history fan, and I know what this place was once back in the day, and I want to go in there. He goes, they're not going to want you in there. I go, there's a lot of other homeless people living in there. He goes, no, they're not going to want you in there. No one goes in there. I go, well, I'm here. I got to go in. He goes, who doesn't want me to go in? He goes, you're going in there? I said, yeah. He goes, you'll find out. I walk in, and there's these people standing on the staircase. I announce myself. I'm Father Sean. I'm not going to disturb anybody. What you're doing in here is your business. I just want to, and I stop it's about 125 degrees in there, middle of summer, sweating profusely. All of a sudden, I get hit as though I'm in a meat locker. And I realize all these people I'm talking to are dead. And then they just finally accept me and go about their own business. Here's my deal to you. If you're able to pull that off for me, the dream of my life, I'll be indebted to you the rest of my life. But I will divulge. I didn't write about this location in my first book. I probably won't write about it in my second book. I will save this location to tell you and Dan about it. And that's an episode of Hotel Paranormal off the charts, because now it's just this falling apart, dilapidated building. But when you get in there, And this isn't some big grandiose casino like back in the days. This is when the town was literally a cow town, and the hauntings in there, brother, are unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I know I'm talking to Tim Weisberg here, and we're talking Dan Aykroyd, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you guys might see and experience things in there you two have never seen or experienced before on a paranormal level, and that would be a great episode for the show. Even at high noon down there, the whole place is in the shadows, man. It's
Wow.
creepy. And you go in this, you could be the on-screen commentator, talk about the history of the place, because I'll give you the whole rundown. We could all go in there before it gets dark, and after it gets dark, man, it takes on a completely different life. Tour the place while it's still light, and then when it gets dark, we hold an investigation. Maybe bring one of us, pull some strings and bring a gifted, talented psychic that we know to join in, maybe have a seance. But that's an episode right there.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's talk about Hotel Paranormal coming up. I'm as excited for you as I am as if it was me getting the opportunity. Just the fact that you're associated with a project that he's associated with, and you're so well spoken, and you're a pro at what you do. Run this whole thing past me and all my viewers, how this landed in your lap and how you feel about it coming up and the premiere of it and all that stuff. The show's yours, brother.
Still don't understand it. I still don't understand how it came about. It was a couple of months ago. Probably toward the end of 2019 that I received an email from some folks that were looking for, and you get it all the time. You're in the paranormal world. Producers are always emailing us. They find our websites, they find our email addresses, they find our social media, and they say, we're doing a show on this, and we need you to find us people who have had X experience. So they reached out to me and they said, do you know anybody that's had any experiences in a hotel? And I said, well, I'm really close friends with the owner of the Lizzie Borden house and some other people that have hotels, and start bringing them some stories. But I usually say no to people when they ask me that, because I've worked on television shows and I know that has a value. So my information, my case files, my connections has a value. So if anybody ever reaches out to any of you paranormal investigators and says, hey, tell us some people that know these things, always say, give me something for it, because they've got it and you're doing the work for them. But anyway, so as I'm, trying to find different people, I'm talking to them about the different types of hotel haunts that I'm aware of. And so the producer said, well, it seems like you're pretty knowledgeable on the subject. Could you really kind of give me an interview, kind of a trial run of you talking about some of these things? So we did it over Skype. And at the end of the Skype session, the producer said, I'm going to recommend you as an on-screen commentator. So I said, okay, I've had this happen tons of times. It's never gone anywhere. So it happened to be that they reached out to me a couple weeks later and said, we want to have you come to Toronto. We're going to fly you up here. We're going to put you up for the day, a couple days. I actually got a nice hotel out of the deal, and, some food money and all that kind of stuff. And they said, we're going to have you come and talk about some of these cases. And they sent me maybe like 9 or 11 cases to talk about, and they do about 3 cases per episode. So they're looking at 30 cases. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'll be in like half the episodes. And when I got there, the producer that was interviewing me said, you know what, I'm going to just have you talk about some other cases because you're doing a good job. And so he literally just emailed me these files, and I'm sitting there reading them on my iPad, sitting under the lights, trying to familiarize myself and be like, yep, I know this place. Yep, I've heard about this place. No, this one I'm not really sure of. And they just had me sit there and go through it all. And I said, that's one of the most pleasant experiences that I've ever had in filming a television show. It felt good, and it felt like it was going to go somewhere. And I was able to get my friend Sam Baldtrusas on as one of the commentators, because he's written books on haunted hotels. And, it just seemed like things were really kind of working out well. And then I come home and, I'm waiting to hear about it. I know it's going to air on Canada, and they told me it might air on the Travel Channel later on. We can't really talk about that yet. We'll let you know. And so I kind of was just like, it's going to air in Canada and whatever. Maybe some Canadian people start listening to my radio show as a result. And then all of a sudden one day I see this announcement that says, Dan Aykroyd will be narrating this new series. I said, hold on, what? Dan Aykroyd is going to be narrating a show that I'm on? And so and then I started seeing the clips as they were putting out all the teaser clips for the Canadian broadcast. And I said, well, this goes beyond some of those other recreation shows that they have about ghosts. This is really cool because he does such a great job with the narration. And the stories themselves are very good. It's not borderline stuff that you're like, that probably wasn't paranormal. I mean, these are serious haunts. And so then I was like, well, it's all kind of coming together now that this, and then of course they make the Travel Channel announcement, and that just kind of blew everything up. And I'm like, well, now, this has the chance to really go somewhere that hopefully, we'll get renewed and be able to feature more stories of people that have had hotel experiences. But the way it's going to work is it's basically people sharing their experiences. So if they were going to feature it, Rev, on the show, your experience, they would probably have you telling them about the hotel. And I don't think they give the names of places. So, keeping it private would be no problem, but they have you share what it is that happened to you. And then they have an actor kind of doing a dramatic recreation of what it is as you're telling your story. And then, people like myself and Sam and some of the other commentators, we jump in and they have us cut in with like, well, many people who travel to hotels are in a place that they've never been before. So they're going to be in heightened, and all that kind of stuff. And then you add into that the Dan Aykroyd narration. That's when Reverend Sean realized the people weren't really alive. And that's when it's going to just all come together in this amazing program. So I can't wait for everybody to see it. It's going to be, it's going to put a lot of the fun back into these stories, but at the same time, like, they're jaw-dropping stories that you're going to be hearing.
Oh man, it's going to be great, brother. I know it's going to be great. I mean, and I'm glad that you had a great experience. And you're right, I hear from people all the time, and the only thing I have not done was say, listen, can you give me something? You know what? I'm going to take that back. If I run into him on the street here, he's probably going to want to punch me. But I have a great Zach Baggins story for you. I don't ask for nothing. Sometimes I will ask for something because I support a lot of charities and I don't charge for my ministry work. So, I just recently got comfortable asking for donations. If I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't. I still do what I do. But that home that I talked about earlier, that haunted mansion, I reached out to Zach about that home. I still believe in my heart of hearts that home would have been probably one of the best, if not the best, Ghost Adventures episode ever if he had gotten in there with his team. At the time, the home was still owned by an old Italian man from the old country that was rumored to have big time mob connections. And I just warned Zach ahead of time. When I reached out to him, told him about the story, he goes, I know of that mansion. You can get us in there? Yes. Oh, yeah, I want to do a show in there. Okay, listen, I'm just going to warning you ahead of time. This old Italian dude is a what can you do for me type of guy. And I only offered this to him because I know the guy has money. And I knew I was doing him a big favor getting in there because without me, he wouldn't have got in there. And I said, listen, he's going to ask you what's in it for me. Be prepared to offer the guy something because, I mean, it's a kind of a big deal. And that's the way he is, the old school Italian dude, probably mob connected. Just, be prepared to offer him something. And while you're at it, and dude, me and my wife, like when I say we survive from paycheck to paycheck, I'm being serious because we both work at an animal hospital. I'm a vet tech. She's an office manager. We don't make a lot of money. We do because we love animals and we've been in that field all our lives. But the paranormal ministry stuff is all our passion, and we do that after dark. So I asked him, I'd really love it if he goes, oh, I know why I said this. He said, I'm going to want you and your wife involved. You've been in there 12 times. You've investigated. I'd like you guys involved. That's when I said, well, okay, fine. You've asked, I'll accept. I would love it if you compensated my wife and I too, and I gave the rundown. Anything you give us, I'm going to throw to charity anyway. 5 seconds. You know what? I think I'm going to pass on that location. I appreciate you bringing it to me. Thank you. Gone.
Yeah, I mean, so when
I don't know if I did some kind of paranormal TV show faux pas asking, or people have told me, no, that's not the reason at all. And I'm not going to tell you the reasons they told me why he behaved that way. But why did that happen in your professional opinion?
So I would actually, well, you want my professional opinion or my Zach opinion? Because they're two different things. My professional opinion is that generally the shows that I have worked on, and I've done 3 of them behind the scenes, and they all offer a location fee for a place where they film. They would prefer not to pay it if they can. If somebody's like, oh, we'd love to have you here, we don't need any money, then they're fine with that. But if people want to be compensated for the location, they will pay for that. They don't usually pay for the people that come on and share their stories and all that. And it almost becomes kind of a documentarian issue where, like, the way that they're doing these shows now, if they pay you for you to come on, even if you're donating that money, if they're paying you to come on and tell your story, that takes away the reality aspect of it. Because, you know, the same way a documentary would never pay you to come on and talk about something in a documentary because they're documenting it. It's part of what keeps the reality in reality television. Now, the odd thing about that is Zach's certainly getting paid for his role in it. So I don't know why it would be, you know, not cool for somebody else to do it. But I don't think that that's what did it. I think what did it was the fact that this is going to be my Zach opinion. But it's
let's categorize this under. I'm going to introduce something new to the show, and we can introduce it tonight. It was going to be called Rev Rants, because people rant to me all week long between shows about this or that, and I'm not a big ranter, but I was going to call it Rev Rants, but I'm going to actually change the name to the guest of that day rants. So tonight we can start with it being Weisberg Rants.
Well, I'll just give you a brief rant. I won't go too deep with it, but I think, and this isn't necessarily just a Zach thing, it might go with anybody else, but by asking that, I wonder if almost it was a matter of, you know, it wasn't just, hey man, thanks, I'm so appreciative just to be on your show, because that's what these people usually are used to dealing with, is people that want to come on just because 95% of the paranormal field just is looking to get on TV. And so when you encounter somebody that doesn't really care about getting on TV, it throws everything off. So, and by you saying like, yeah, we're happy to do it, but we know we want to get something for, basically what you're saying is, I'm not the kind of person that's really getting excited about just having the opportunity to be on television. So I need a little bit more. And I think that that's part of what goes with this, is that they're looking for people that are just all about getting that. And you've probably been to paranormal events and conventions and things where you see people that have a banner that says "as seen on," but what it really was they were on the show for 5 minutes telling their story. Yeah. You know, it's not like you're on every episode of the show. You were just telling your story, and you were one of 10 people telling your story about a place. You know, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the kind of people that are just willing to come on and do that and subjugating themselves. Not in a negative way, but just kind of making sure that what they're doing is fitting into the format of what it is that they're trying to present.
Absolutely. I appreciate your honesty and your opinion on that. The well said. Just it's craziness. What do I got on time here? Oh my gosh, 5 minutes. I'm going to lose Tim Weisberg.
It flies by.
Listen, we got to do this. I got to 2 of the 20 questions that I wanted to talk to you about. I knew that was going to happen, but I don't want the show to end without people knowing. I've been on one of your older radio shows. I don't know if you want to even mention that show, but I always remember what a professional, welcoming, gracious host you were to me when you had me on. And now you've got 2 new radio shows that wildly and widely popular. Tell my listeners the 2 shows that you are still hosting, when they can listen to you, and anything else you'd like to throw out there. All Tim Weisberg.
Sure. Well, the former show that I was on, you know, they fired me at the beginning of April because new owners took over.
Been there, done that.
Listen, I'm not a flat Earth guy. I'm not going to talk about flat Earth. I'm not going to talk about how COVID's fake. I'm not going to talk about how 9/11 was a hoax and Sandy Hook was a hoax. You know, so they
didn't really walk on the moon.
Yeah, they knew what they were getting with me. So they said, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction. So that was on a Friday. By a Monday, the following Monday, we already had our new network launched and our new program, Midnight Society. So you can check that out every weeknight at midnight.fm. That's the website, just like that, midnight.fm. And that'll take you over. And we have all of our archives there for people to get a membership to, just like we did with the previous show. And then, so that's been around now since April, the beginning of April. But Spooky South Coast is my Saturday night show. That's been going on now for 14 years. We've been on hiatus because of the virus, but we'll be back in the next couple of weeks. And that airs Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern at SpookySouthCoast.com. And also tonight, right after this program is over, pop on the Weather Channel for the show Weird Earth. Just like I'm an on-screen commentator for Hotel Paranormal. I do the same thing on Weird Earth on the Weather Channel,
Oh,
kind
you're
of
kidding me.
talking about some of the weird phenomena that's going on. Well, I was supposed to be on it a lot more. They seem to have been paring back some of the paranormal explanations for some of the weird phenomena.
This is on Weather Channel.
Weather Channel. Yep.
Okay, now hold on one second before I let you go. Weather Channel tonight, Weird Earth, and that's going to be every Sunday night on Travel Channel.
Yeah, I think
I'm
there's
sorry, on Weather Channel.
I think there's like 7 episodes left. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I did not know that, man. That is so cool. All righty. Oh my God, Tim. I knew I'd love talking to you today. They don't come any better than you. I don't care what I got going on. You need a guest on any of your shows, I'm free. I'll throw you some dates. I know Mondays are hard for you. That's why I never reach out to you to come on Vegas Supernatural. But I knew that I might luck out and get you for an hour on a Sunday afternoon. But I'll let you get organized. I'll let the show premiere. I'll let you get organized. I'll let it get up and off and running, and then I'll holler at you and send you some more open dates later this year and get you back. Because what happens when I have someone like you on the show, as soon as I get off, my private messages and my messenger blows up with everybody wanting to know when are they going to get back. You got to have them back. I know that's what's going to happen. So I will try my best to get you back. And if I reach out to you and none of the dates are good, you know me, I'm easy. You just tell me, man, I'm buried, and I'll just wait and bug you a few weeks after that.
We'll make it happen. The only catch is once football season starts, I cover the Patriots. So
that's right. Oh my God,
I'll be at the stadium out for all the home games. So as long as it's an away game, I'd still be home and able to do the show.
How's it going to be without Tom this year?
It might be paranormal. Let's just say that.
I'm a big Redskin fan. It's going to be paranormal for us too. We had the original coach of the Hogs died today, Joe Bugle, and so yeah, I've been and my producer on Monday nights on Vegas Supernatural was born and raised in Mass. She's a diehard Patriots fan, so I have to listen to that every Monday night during football season. But listen, brother, I love you. I respect you. The best of luck. I'm not done with you by a long shot. Thank you for spending an hour with me and my viewers tonight. Stay blessed. You're in my prayers. Your family's in my prayers. Stay healthy, and the best of luck to you, brother. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. God bless you.
Thank you, and all that right back to you. I feel that same way twice over about you.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.
Take care.
Take care. Oh man, guys, I know. Either the show is going to have to go longer, or I will get Tim back. But I don't have a show without all of you. So God bless you all for tuning in. I want to let you guys know we're going to give you all the 4th of July weekend off. So I will not have a show next Sunday on the 5th. You can catch me tomorrow night with Susan Ahern on Vegas Supernatural. You can catch me a week from Monday on the 6th on Vegas Supernatural with Nathaniel Gillis. But we will be back here with a brand new live episode of the Paranormal Ministry on Sunday, July 12th. And if you know this woman, you love her, and you know that this show is going to be a hoot. I have the Southern Horror Queen herself, Lynn Seal Gibson, visiting the Rev on the Ministry, and that show is going to rock. So once again, have a blessed 2 weeks. Have a blessed and safe 4th of July. Thank you, Carl Albertson, Paranormal Nation Radio, for all your hard work behind the scenes. Thank you also very much. On that note, good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. Take care of my friend. Tim, God bless. I'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Good night, everybody.